Okay, people, welcome back to another throwback play day. I was gonna say classic or vintage or something like that, but it felt wrong. It makes me feel old remembering just how long ago I made some of these customs. And that's what I'm doing today, going through some old customs, because I was walking out of the room the other day and I glanced over and I was like, I don't even remember. Oh, I did make that. You know, you put some figures on the shelf and it stays there so long in that same spot that it almost becomes invisible to your brain. You're looking along, it's like, oh, okay, and just right over it. It Mary zeros you. And that's what happened. I looked down and I thought, oh, I'm going to take a picture of that for Instagram. Or I could show it in a video, along with this and this and this. Oh, look at this. How long has this been here? We're going back 15, 20 years in some cases. It's been a long time since I've actually put it in front of my face, so this should be fun. And starting off with probably my oldest custom still in the display somewhere, here's Agent X. This is some kind of Metal Gear Solid lower half with the non-existent hips. And then the arms, and I think the torso are from Bandai's Ultimate Muscle line from around the turn of the century. Okay, I'm already hating talking about old customs. Damn. Turn of the century. There just wasn't a lot of fodder back then, especially if you wanted like baggy pants or heavy jackets. Or, well, I mean, there were lots of parts that were missing. So you either had to dig deep and find something that is useful, or you had to learn to sculpt. And I never learned to sculpt. But I am kind of proud of this collar that captures that look from the comic. And then I don't even remember where the head came from. Oh, no, I do. That is a Marvel Legends Series 1 Captain America with the Captain America stuff removed. But it is definitely showing its age, besides being an obsolete base figure. But with Alex, you gotta have an Inez, and I pieced together an Outlaw. I want to say this was a Danger Girl base, mostly because of the look of that face. No elbows, no knees, no ankles. This pretty much stands there like this. I put this on like it's fishing line or something, just lay it in there and then sculpt it over very roughly. Oh, and look at the dust. If I ever plan on doing another custom of this, I'm going to steal this hat, these spurs, and these pistols. And then the rest of this base will be gone. But then my Agency X is capped off beautifully with this custom that I didn't even do. This was actually a birthday gift from Fred over at Boss Fight Studios, before there was a Boss Fight Studios. You know, back in the day when we were just hanging on forums, swapping ideas, techniques, posting pictures, and every time Double Dealer put a picture up, it was like, holy shit. I've moved a couple times since then, so it's gotten roughed up a bit. This has fallen off, but man, look at this Udon Taskmaster. Even if Hasbro gets around to doing this properly someday, this is staying on the shelf. I mean, there's too much sentimental value here. Almost a little bit of action figure history. Another recipe that made the rounds a lot back in the day was the Moloid made out of a Toy Biz Lord of the Rings Gollum. It was all right there. All you had to do was smash some sculpting material into the eye sockets and then hit it with a flathead screwdriver. Boop, boop. Put a base coat down, dry brush a lighter shade over it. Done. Your mole man has a little minion to run around. I kind of wish I had more of these. Even better, there's magnets in the feet, and I have metal shelving for my Marvel figures, so I can just stick this up out of the way and forget about it, which I tend to do, you know. But here's an X-Men team look that I want Hasbro to get to eventually. I think, again, these are Kaneko Man, Ramen Man sleeves from the Ultimate Muscle line. And then the base is the movie Thomas Jane Punisher. I think that's definitely his head with a crappy visor sculpted on top. But man, this puffy jacket look was right up my alley. Painting straight lines though, not so much. This is one of my better finds at Walmart. This is a cap off a mechanical pencil. Just shaved it down, stuck it on there, drew some lines on the undershirt, and new X-Men Cyclops. Then along came DC Universe Classics, and Marvel Legends kind of fell by the wayside. I started doing DC customs. And for Captain Atom, I masked off the logo, the gloves, and the boots, and then sprayed the rest of it with, I think it's All-Clad or Spastics, one or the other. And the thing about that, because of the airbrush settings and me being inconsistent, is sometimes it works, sometimes it wouldn't. But thankfully here, I'm pretty happy with it. Happy enough with it that it's still on the shelf. Even though I don't have a proper DC Universe Classics display, I still have some customs lined up across the bottom, as you're about to see. This onomatopoeia isn't great. I think this is a Marvel Legends jacket, and where'd those sleeves come from? Is that a Mr. Terrific? Your basic DC Universe Classics body, and then I don't know where the head came from, but Whew, I did a terrible job with those circles. And why is there some shiny dots, like super glue or something? This just stands there mostly because I enjoyed the character. Was it Green Arrow where he popped up, ran around? It's been a long time. I think I made this Jon Stewart before we got the official one. Pretty sure I masked that off. So it's a Green Lantern base. Well, there's the ring, so it had to have been a Green Lantern base of some kind. And then airbrushing the green on. And I forgot how smooth that can be. Just a nice, simple Green Lantern look. I can't remember if it's the same deal with the Jay Garrick Flash. If I made this before we got an official one, or they took forever, or I just wanted to do one. Sometimes you just feel like making a custom, even if you have one on the shelf. You think, I could do certain things different and more to my liking, I guess. It's the old rubber band for a belt trick, which is essentially just taking a rubber band, painting it, and gluing it on there, and then taking a belt buckle off something else, putting it on top. That's it. And I want to say the head is a Magneto. The hat is probably from DC Direct or Collectibles or whatever. And then the red is airbrushed. I haven't done that in so long that seeing it after all these years, I think, why don't I still do that? Mostly because I don't have a spray booth, and getting all the stuff out, setting it up, getting it ready, tearing it back down, putting it back up just became a pain. When I get the urge to customize, I want to jump in there and just do it, you know? So maybe someday I'll have a dedicated space, but not at the moment. But my favorite non-Secret 6 DC Universe Classic custom is probably Johnny Sorrow. I think this is just a Clark Kent body with the neck dremeled out, and then a Marvel Legends Vision face with the mouth sculpted over. Well, and then some of the rest of the head removed. But this effect only works from the front. If you turn it, you can see it's just a twist tie coming up out of the back of the jacket and glued to the inside. Look at my lazy ass. I didn't even paint the inside of that. But that does leave you with a little bit of movement. You can turn it or bend the wire. Little light right here on the airbrushing, but again, it's striking on the shelf with the yellows and the reds and the blacks. My last big customizing project where it was a team and I was working through the members was Secret 6. And now that I think about it, it's pushing 15 years ago that But we'll start those off with Insignificus. Who is Insignificus? Pretty insignificant. He's Scandal's monk servant, I guess. He only showed up a couple of times, but he followed her around, had some funny dialogue. Honestly, I think I just had this body left over from another custom, slapped some bare feet, different head inside, Insignificus. I always love a good dry brush though. Throw some brown down, done. And the 555 on the forehead is because, what was her name? She was giving Scandal her phone number and didn't have a piece of paper, so she wrote it on Insignificus's forehead. This is digging way down to add to a display. But that's the big reason about customizing, right? Making characters that you know the companies aren't going to give us. Well, I mean, we make a lot of customs that we know that they may eventually get to because of the fun factor, just for the love of the hobby, but also for stuff like this. And like this, because Mattel never gave us Fiddler. And here's the Desaad head that left me with the body to make Insignificus. See how it all goes around? It's all tied together. This is a Metal Gear Solid Raiden hair piece. Raiden, whatever. And then a Joker body painted in green. And I want to say this was a No. I got this on eBay. It's one of those scaled dollhouse things, and I've lost the bow. Fiddler didn't last on the team very long, but it's nice to have a figure of him to put on the Secret 6 shelf, because he was there. Someone who's been with the team from the beginning and then all the way through is Catman, and here's his first look. Well, his first modern look, I guess. I think this is a DC Superheroes Batman from before DC Universe Classics. Just painted it all that orangey yellow, with some darker tones to the cowl and the cape and the gloves and the boots. Some shitty claws glued on, one I've lost. This custom's kind of been through the ringer over the years. It's been through several moves. I lost the cape, I lost the head at some point, was digging in boxes, and look at that. Glue it back on, lose it again. And I think my go-to back in the day was the Toy Biz Vision head, again, like Johnny Sorrow. Those ears are sculpted on terrible, though. That logo's kind of embarrassing, too. But I always had fun with 5 O'Clock Shadow. My personal favorite on my own custom shelf, I hate saying that, but this is the one I go back to a lot. I can't remember if I mixed this color for the costume and then the browns tying in. I don't remember where the belt came from, but I know the straps came from a Marvel Legends figure. And then I'm pretty damn sure this is another Vision head. Look, I used to be able to paint eyes back in the day when I could see and I wasn't near as shaky. I don't think I liked the ears back when I first did it, but now that I have some years on it, they're not so bad. I bet my Man-Thing sculpted up a hand with his actual claws from the comics. But I always liked liked the attitude this figure gave off. Hell, I like Catman so much that I made a stealth variant. I don't remember how many times he actually wore this in the comics, but it was neat. It was campy, but it made sense because, you know, they were sneaking in at night. Why wouldn't he wear a black costume? This is just the Mattel figure painted black, the logo painted back on. And I think this head is, again, I Bet My Man thing. The Mattel head was just too small. Oh, you thought it stopped there? No, it doesn't. In the series, Blake also had a snow version of his costume. Again, it's silly, but it's cool. Damn it. I really went to town with the airbrush here. I based the body in white, painted the blue on, and then came back and kind of hit it at an angle so it looked kind of snowy, but it also brings out some of that detail. I did run with the stock Mattel DC Universe Classics Deadshot for a long time. It worked on the shelf, but after putting so much work into some of the other members and Catman, I thought, you know what? How about we just spruce it up a little bit, make it more accurate to the Secret Six comics. That meant adding the actual gun look to the gauntlet and the ammo right here and the ammo running around there. Deeper red to the costume, and then his boots. But there's still some Mattel peeking out. I don't think I touched the head and the silver on the torso. Bane came along later in the series, and I think I used a Masters of the Universe figure for this. Maybe the upper body. The lower is from some DC Universe Classics figure. And then the head is a custom I picked up on the forums. Always hated the belt. I was never happy with that. I've been looking to replace that for years, and I don't think about it. Then when I come back to the figure, it's like, oh, well, I need to replace that. Back on the shelf. I'm also not super enthused about my skin tone here. Also getting super close, you can see how I just punched in the body hair in places. And it looks rough, you know, here, but you get away from it, put it on the shelf, it's not too bad. Black Alice was also a later member of the team, and here I think I used a wrestler body. I can't remember if this was a hairpiece I ripped off and then had to sculpt the hair back up on, but I didn't give her enough skull back. It looks like the face goes zzz, and then this is probably some clear plastic from the packaging that I cut into shape and stuck it in there. But it gives me another Secret Six member. Kind of like this King Shark. This is a DC Universe Collect and Connect Brimstone. And then the feet, or well, no, it's the toes, are from a Masters of the Universe big figure. Oh yeah, I had to remove a toe and then sculpt over. And then the head, the eyes are from another Collect and Connect, and then I sculpted the rest of it. I think I just put the smile on and took a flathead screwdriver and did the teeth. And then again, clear plastic for the fin up on top. I wanted his look specifically in the Secret Six comics. One of those rare cases where I'm pretty happy with a sculpt. I wish I had done more for this strap than just paint it on. And my reasoning at the time, I think, was that that's what Mattel would do. I'd do that too. It matches the aesthetic of the toy line. I'm a shark. Going back to early members, Knockout, it hasn't held up over the years. The paint I use for the skin, which is too yellow, I don't like it. It's started to thin out, and you can see the wrestler paint job underneath. That, and I am super afraid to touch these. Again, using whatever materials you have on hand. For her trash bag, boot, and glove look, I used balloon material. I know, shut up. And then the straps around it are rubber bands. And I feel like they shouldn't have lasted this long, but they have. Maybe because I primed them and then painted them. Maybe they're protected somehow? I don't remember what head this is, but this is definitely some Marvel Legends Phoenix hair. I think that's a cable shoulder pad with some thumbtacks stuck through. I don't know. Looking at the size and everything, it definitely fits Knockout, but it needs a new paint job more than anything. And where there was Knockout, there was Scandal. And this is another figure that was gifted to me. My best good friend Prodigy made this and brought it. I think we were getting together to go to San Diego, and he showed me this, and I was like, oh, I can only hope to make one that good someday because, you know, I'm working through my Secret Six. And he was like, no, I made this for you. And it was like, damn it, man. This project became kind of a group project. I have no idea at the base. Again, this is 10, 15 years ago. I want to say it was a Black Widow, maybe? I only got this far with my own Scandal, and thankfully, crazy luck. I don't know how this worked out, but I can swap this head out for a masked head in case I want that look on the shelf. Jeanette was also kind of a group effort. Like I've said several times, I am no sculptor, so I reached out to I Bet My Man thing again, And he was like, hell yeah, I'd like to sculpt those curls and her crazy hair and the twist coming down. I put the paint job on it, and the lips could be fuller. The eyes could be straighter. Didn't do too bad on the eyebrows, which is now my mortal enemy. The body is an early Hasbro Black Widow. This is a cape or a lower trench coat sliced and merged in at the hips. Painted the little design work on the inside of that. The boots. These are actually little pieces of wire that I bent into clasps and then glued them on. And looking at that, I think sometimes I wasn't a lazy ass, but most of the time I was. So don't let that fool you. The one I had the most fun with, or well, the one that drove me kind of crazy, is Ragdoll. This is actually an old Avatar figure that I dremeled out the hips so the legs would come up to here, but it had that thinness to the limbs and the torso. I don't remember whose face that is, but it's all dremeled out to look like a mask. This is some kind of old thing from the cheap toy aisle that was braided together like a waxy string thing. I just peeled them all apart and then glued them to that mask. The stripes I masked off, but the checkers I actually penciled in and then painted each one. You can see where I got off in places, but again, you get back here, can't even tell. Once I finished this, I was like, yeah, okay, there's Ragdoll. Catman may be my favorite custom character on the shelf, but the work involved here, this is the one I go back to and go, well, that's where I peaked. It was all downhill after this. At the end of the day, we got to play. That's a good day. I kind of surprised myself because I started looking and thinking, wow, I used to be able to do that or that or that. But there's also cases of, what did I do there? What? Yeah. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I'm just kind of proud in some cases. And then in others, I kind of want to get the point across that we all have to start somewhere. Some people have that natural talent to jump right into it, but others, like me, it takes some time to build up some skill. I guess what I'm saying is, don't get discouraged right off the bat. You try something, and then you'll get a little better the more you do it. So keep at it. If you're just getting into customizing, you're gonna get there. Or in the case of me in sculpting, make a lot of friends who are able to do that. Or get online, buy some sculpts, buy some heads, pop them on, swap some parts. Fun. That's where it always ends up with these play days. Just have some fun. If you enjoyed this play day, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. Wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. Another thing I'm realizing is I need to finish the Secret Six thing. I took some years off from customizing in general, but from Secret Six itself. I need to go back and I always wanted to do that rest of that later team. Dwarf Star, Lady Vic, Giganta. And then from early, I still need Cheshire and Parademon. That's the big hole in my project, is I never got around to finding a good base body for Parademon. I gotta think at this point there's something usable where I don't have to do too much sculpting. But then for Mad Hatter, I have that, is it the Long Halloween DC Direct figure? And then Harley Quinn, I use the icons. So I'm close. I just need to buckle down, I guess.